Welcome to an episode of Inspired Voices, the reality show edition. We're back
Hello.
with my fiance Sybil. Hello. We're back with another show recap of Secret Lives of Mormon Wives.
Yes.
So if you are a fan of trash TV and want to see people
Living their lives as Mormon wives.
absolutely, then watch the show.
And you want to give your fiance side eye over television choices.
Last time we recapped Love is Blind.
We did,
Yeah.
and that deserved a bigger side eye. Like this is interesting.
Yeah, that's true. Like when you first told me about Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, I was like, oh, interesting. And I thought very traditional, very closed type of people. But then I saw the previews, I saw the show, and I was like, oh no, these are modern women, sexualized, I would say. Season 2 especially.
Season 2's a lot so far.
Yeah,
It's a lot so
we're
far.
recapping season 2. And season 2, like even the intro was like,
It's giving sirens.
Sirens,
we're
yeah.
coming out of the water. We're sexy. But I mean, to be fair, I haven't watched their TikToks besides what I see on TV.
Yeah.
But I mean, it seems on brand.
right,
You know?
right.
But
Yeah, like so we know we do these recaps and shows and stuff like that. What have we been watching also?
So okay, some more reality TV.
Yeah,
Poly Family. That has us in the clutches.
it's a very interesting show, the Poly Family.
Interesting is the perfect word to say right now.
Yeah.
I think dumpster fire is going to be another description
Yeah,
pretty soon.
pretty sure. Yeah.
Let's see.
Oh,
So
the Never Ever Mets.
yes,
Never Ever Mets,
the
yeah.
Never Ever Mets, which is more reality TV. If you haven't watched it, recommend it. It's funny. Like it's about people who have never ever met, but they're dating online.
Yeah.
So they put them in a house together for like 3 weeks or something to see like, does it work? And there's like couples therapy. Everybody's lying. They got all these secrets. They got secret babies. There's a lot going on.
Yeah, it's a lot, yeah.
But it's it's a good like bedtime show like that we watch.
Yeah, I'd say so.
And not all reality TV, even though I love reality TV, so no judgment. We just started Forever on Netflix.
Forever.
Judy Blume inspired, like the like young black couple that meets and like falls in
Oh,
love.
right. Yeah. We just saw that at the start of that. Yeah.
I've heard from other people it is extremely good, including
really?
my best friend just texted me. She was like, "I'm watching it. It's so good."
Right.
So
Okay.
I think we got to keep that going.
Yeah, we're still watching Hacks.
Yeah, we are still watching Hacks.
Yeah,
we
that's a
need
good
to catch
one.
up on Last of Us.
The Last of Us.
Yeah. Life has been lifing, so we need
Yeah.
to have some more
it
time.
just depends on these TV shows, and like, is it going to be a drama? Is it going to be something funny?
Yeah, sometimes it's been a long day, and you just
Yeah.
need to laugh. Like you don't need to.
And like, I feel like because we have so much going on right now, like, I feel like we don't want another drama, like serious drama in our life.
We kind of like sparse it out.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, and then so that's why there's trash reality TV, so to make yourself feel better.
Or just reality TV. It's not all trash.
Oh, okay.
We're learning lessons.
We're learning lessons. All right, so Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, Season 2 recap. We are going to be covering episodes 1 and 2 for this episode of Inspired Voices. And you might be wondering, why are you covering reality shows on Inspired Voices? I feel like that doesn't match the brand. But tearful, I feel like it does.
You want to try that again?
I don't know what else to say in place of that.
Words?
When we're talking about Inspired Voices, we're thinking about like, oh, well, how can you take what other people are doing and change your perspective or view another perspective to gain more insight and stuff like that. So I feel like it kind of does match with Inspired Voices, even though it's a reality show, not trash. But we do gain some perspective and what to do, mostly what not to do, and in these relationships that the Mormon wives go through, or Love is Blind is going through, or whatever relationship people are going through in reality shows.
And it's awesome, and it's great quality time for us. So
Yes.
there's that.
All right. So, first episode of Mormon Wives Season 2.
Yes.
Secret Lives of Mormon Wives Season 2 is the one. Jesus Christ. Let
All
me try it
right.
again.
So it's The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, Season 2, Episode 1, entitled The Book of Revelations.
Bada bing.
And that is exactly what it was.
Bada boom.
So it opened up, and like you said, like even with the opener, my first thought was, oh, we've gone full-blown housewives.
Yeah.
Now. Like,
yeah. It's completely sexualized. All of them.
I mean, get it.
Get
You
it.
got
I mean, get it,
you
get it,
know?
get it, good.
Because they're all covered. Hey, do what you like. And
Yeah, they're coming out of the water and all wet and stuff like that. I'm just kind of picturing it for the audience. And I'm not saying anything about it.
That's all right. So, yeah, they do the intro. And we open at this thing called Gracie Lou Cowboy Pillows Influencer Event. And there's a bull, and, they're kind of taking their turns riding this bull.
Right, yeah.
And then they start kind of doing their little intros, talking about how things have changed for mom talk since season 1.
Right.
They say the brand deals have increased by a bunch. I can't remember which wife it was. I think it was maybe Michaela who said on one brand deal, she can get what her husband makes in a year.
Right.
And I was like, wow, I get it. That's a lot of money.
Yeah, you get it.
And they've kind of had some blowback, like from the church. Like they have an issue with mom talk trying to, quote, break the patriarchy, which is, what they said a lot from season 1.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm not gonna lie, I don't quite know how they're breaking the patriarchy, but I'm gonna continue to watch and figure that out.
I mean, I'm thinking, it's the way they're responding to their husbands and stuff like that, maybe.
Yeah, maybe being the breadwinners, things like that, maybe.
Going to Chippendales from season 1, that's probably another one, right?
The Chippendales, like they're never gonna let it go. And then we're gonna get so deep into Chippendales.
Yeah.
So Whitney, aka the villain of last season, shows up at the event.
Right.
Super pregnant.
I thought she was gonna be done with the show.
Well, that's because that's what she said.
Right.
And she was like,
hey guys.
very loud and wrong about that.
Yeah.
And had a falling out with all of them. But yeah, I think she's like 2 weeks away from her due date at this point.
Right.
And which is also like, you really want to be somewhere if you're 2 weeks from your due date. And like, you're like, no, but I'm going to go to this influencer event. But she was like, this is my livelihood.
Yeah. I didn't realize it. Like, that's why kind of people show up to places when it comes to reality shows, even though they're not good with anybody there. It's because it's probably an influencer event.
Either that or they're still under contract, like with the housewives, like they gotta go.
Yeah.
Like that's part of what makes reality TV so unrealistic, actually. Like if you're not getting along with anybody in a group, you're not in real life gonna go to that party.
Right.
But in reality TV, of course you're gonna go to that party.
And I find it very interesting how Whitney keeps it together throughout the episodes of being in group environments that people don't like her in.
Whitney has a goal. And she's going to accomplish it. Plus, I also think because, we have some other folks come in who can also kind of shift the heat. Like she's making different allies. Plus, she's also like super pregnant. And to be fair, at least in the episodes we've seen so far, I don't really think anybody really wants to get into it real bad with a pregnant girl. Like that's a lot.
Yeah.
Don't do that. It's not a good look.
Right.
But yeah, so then speaking of you just kind of new people coming in, we see Miranda, who she's new to the show. She's not new to the group.
She's a veteran of the group.
She was one of the originals with Taylor.
Right.
And we find out this is Taylor's ex-best friend, an original member of Mom Talk.
And one of the swingers in the scandal. If you haven't seen season 1, that's probably like, what? Mormons? Swingers? Yeah.
Then you need to go watch season 1,
right.
like for sure. She's 26, and they discuss her divorce, which she initiated. But then we find out, not find out because I think we knew before, but like they start explaining just how messy all of this is.
Yeah.
So We find out that Miranda, her ex-husband, Chase, had, they were involved in the swinging stuff with Taylor and her ex-husband.
Yeah.
But it also got messy because Miranda's ex-husband, Chase, who we see later on, it's a whole thing, expressed his feelings, said he was catching feelings for Taylor.
Yeah.
And Taylor was like, ooh, but I'm not catching feelings for you.
Mm-hmm.
And then, they became, automatic enemies, and that was a whole thing.
Yeah.
And Miranda and Chase initially denied everything. They were like, we swinging what? We don't do that. No idea what you're talking about. So that was kind of the, destruction of that friendship.
Yeah.
And all of that.
Pretty
and
much.
a couple marriages. And it gets kind of intense kind of quickly when Miranda shows up.
Yeah.
Because they sit her next to Taylor, and immediately it's like an interview.
Taylor they're all surprised.
Yeah.
Right? They don't know,
except for
at
the
all.
producers.
Right, of course.
Yep, because they did that.
Because she's already mic'd up.
Exactly. But it's like an interview, right off the bat.
Yeah.
And I think it was Jesse and Demi who, it's going to be a theme throughout the season, I'm pretty sure, are the ones I think who start just shooting off the questions.
Yeah. Why are you here? Mm-hmm. Are you trying to get back into mom talk?
Are you a clout chaser?
Right.
Which, that is a fair question at
This
point.
It is.
So Miranda all she admits to is playing spin the bottle and kissing other people in the swinging scandal.
Right. And nothing else happened.
That's it. She says no one had sex ever, period. And then Taylor was like, say what now?
Yeah.
And in my notes, I was like, I believe Taylor. Who blows up their life for no reason?
Right.
And yeah, so actually, Miranda had arrived before Taylor and they started those questions. Then Taylor gets there. She's surprised.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And of course, when they're like, oh, how are you? She's like, I'm feeling terrible. I'm feeling horrible. Dealing with Dakota still, which...
Oh. Jen, are you talking to... Oh, no, Taylor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And they talk about how Dakota lied to Taylor about the other woman.
Right.
Which is going to be an ongoing theme that seems to never end.
Right.
And then we kind of put a pin in the influencer event.
Mm-hmm.
And we go to Jen Affleck, which I'm going to call her that for a while because that's what it was in her little Chiron until we get to a different part.
So she and Zach are separated at this point. Zach cut his hair. He does not look like
he did.
an inbred caveman.
Jeez.
No offense.
To inbred caveman?
No, but he actually looks better.
Yeah.
He looks so much younger too.
He looks very young.
Yeah.
And it's kind of weird when you see him sitting with his children.
Uh-huh.
And he's just like, are we babysitting?
And he's yeah. And he sounds young too.
Yeah.
Which I didn't catch that in the last season, but
I think though because they all marry so young.
yeah.
That most of them, I think Layla's 23.
That's crazy.
And I want to say she's the one that has a set of twins.
Right.
Everybody's, I think the oldest person's 32. And I want to say that's Jesse.
Gotcha.
But yeah, so they've separated. Jenna's come back to Utah because, remember they had done the moving because of his med school.
Right, yeah.
And he ended up getting in, I want to say Arizona, but, he put med school off and now they're back in Utah, since separating.
So he's got a 1 year, what is it? What do you call that?
Leave.
Leave,
He took 1 year leave.
Yeah.
But the thing is, he shows up to her Airbnb in Utah with a suitcase and flowers. And immediately I was like, wait, why are you staying at her house? That's not what separation means.
That's true.
Okay.
Yeah.
Don't show up in my house with a suitcase.
Yeah. And it didn't seem like she was expecting him to show up with a suitcase either.
I agree.
Because she opened the door and there was this kind of
hey babe.
I got
Can
the
this
suitcase.
be my spot too?
Right, yeah.
But I also just after seeing some of the dynamic play out between Jen and Zach, I have questions. I'm not sure what Jen expects or doesn't expect or how she's communicated. I've got a lot of questions.
Yeah.
More questions than answers, really.
Right.
So Zach goes into how the whole world wanted them to get a divorce after Vegas. Basically the Chippendales incident around the world.
He got threats.
Mm-hmm. He says he's in therapy, trying to learn to let her live her life. Just gonna move on from that. And Jen says she wants to be equals in their marriage. And that's when we find out. He's like, well, I took a leave from medical school. And I was just like, okay.
Yeah.
Are you taking a leave from medical school because you want to save your marriage? Or are you taking a leave from medical school because you actually don't know what you want to do?
Yeah.
And I was thinking more of you actually don't know what you want to do.
Like with his life or with the relationship?
With his life.
Yeah.
Because you also get he's also saying that I think they're not currently going to church. He says he wants them to be more authentic. I just feel like he doesn't know where he wants to go.
Yeah.
So I'm going to put this off. I mean, to be fair, they probably should. They got a lot going on.
Yeah.
But he's going to put this off, and then, they can figure out how to be more authentic and do all the things and have a better marriage and all that in a year, which is a lot.
Yep. But he still hates mom talk. We'll say that.
Pretty much. I think he's
that.
indifferent.
He said that.
I don't think he wants to, I think he's treading lightly because he knows he's on thin ice with Jen.
Yeah.
But I agree.
Yeah. I think he said that, in the confessional video. Whatever
he sent the ladies of Mom Talk a voice note, apologizing. Mm-hmm. And that was awkward because we see the scene of them, together. We see a lot of, cut scenes that they don't go into until it's, a flashback of some sort.
Yeah.
Where they're listening to it and they're all like, no, you're sad you got caught. You're not sad about what you said.
Right.
So they've got a lot going on over there.
Yeah, but she gives him a chance, but he's on thin ice, pretty much.
Right.
So.
Move on to Macy, Taylor's bestie. Go to her house. And the big thing here is Taylor is meeting up with Jenna, who was Dakota's other woman. Mm-hmm. This is the storyline of this is the chick he was talking to when they first met.
Yeah.
It is one of the most awkward encounters I've ever seen.
Yeah. You think Jenna wasn't friends with any of them, right?
No.
Okay.
No. She had written into Macy's confessions thing during season 1, and that's how she got involved. Yeah. She told him herself.
Right. So that was a little awkward in the beginning. There was a lot of silence. People didn't know what to say. And then not Taylor. Macy goes to the fridge. As soon as Jenna comes in to sit down on the couch, she leaves them automatically to go get a drink for herself. Mm-hmm. And while they're sitting on the couch, just silently being awkward and stuff like that.
And everyone just keeps commenting on how awkward it is. And then Jenna comes in and she's all smiles. It was so weird. Mm-hmm. And it's just she's smiling on the couch. Macy's getting water. And Taylor's just like, can I see your phone? Because I need these receipts.
Right.
So yeah, they compare phones. Taylor is a little investigative reporter. She is getting in there to be like, oh, well, he said this was happening on this date, but here's what's happening. And it just devolves into this thing that actually was pretty heartbreaking, where Taylor is weeping.
Yeah.
And she's just like, I feel like a piece of trash. Mm-hmm. And Jenna says that Dakota said he was dating Taylor for clout, which also just makes it worse.
Yeah. So she found out basically a bunch of lies.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's got to be hard, but
Well, then we go to Whitney and Miranda at the park. Mm-hmm. It's just kind of a throwaway scene. They're just making friends.
Yeah, they kind of at this point they're just kind of together.
All
they're the only
each
ones.
Other.
Yeah.
Then we go to a haunted house. So it's a couple of the ladies, Macy, Michaela, Demi, and Jessie. And they talk about Miranda's invite, because Miranda's going to have a happy hour party.
Right.
And once again, the question is she clout chasing?
Yeah.
They should have just named this episode Clout Chasing ?
Right.
Because
I know Michaela was definitely no, she's clout chasing. No.
Michaela, I was here for Michaela. She was standing on business and saying how she felt. And I was like, oh, this is a nice change,
Right.
But yeah, so then we get to Taylor and her mom. And Taylor is dropping off her and Dakota's baby, who's their name, his name is Ever. Then we noticed that Taylor's mom, who I was never able to catch her name, looks very different than she did last season.
Yeah, she got a little work done.
She got a lot of work done.
Trying to look out for daughter.
She does. Like if you look at that before and after, and I'm like, I feel like she looks a lot more like Taylor now.
She lost some weight. She got some Botox and a lift, facelift.
That was that. They talk about Taylor and Dakota, of course. Taylor thinks that she's stuck in this relationship because of her bio dad and not knowing him. And that's something that she repeats a lot throughout this kind of first drop of episodes that we watched.
Yeah.
We see Zach and Jen do some ketamine therapy.
Yeah, that was surprising. Did not know that was a thing that they were going to be open to.
I want to say they mentioned ketamine therapy last season, but we didn't really get into it much.
Gotcha.
But it was interesting that like after the ketamine therapy is when Zach agreed to go meet Jesse and Demi.
Yeah, to
like
clear
go
the
talk
air.
to them. He was feeling real open to it.
Yeah. I mean, drugs will do that to you,
So
well, some drugs.
Yeah.
Not all of it.
Fair enough.
There we go.
Then we just switched back to Dakota moving out of Taylor's house. He's moving into a friend's house, admits to the lying, and deleting text to protect himself.
Dakota looks different too, right?
He looks very different.
He looks like a vampire.
I think he cut his hair.
Yeah, he cut his hair. I think he colored it
Maybe.
because it used to be like more black. Now I think it's like more like brown.
I have to go back and look at him from first season, but like definitely, and like I don't even know. It's been a minute since I watched the first season. If he was getting like his own individual like interviews, and maybe that's why, because he's also dressed like businessy and things like that. And I feel like we always see him so dressed down. Maybe that's it too.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
But yeah, he says he loves Taylor more than anyone else and it's worth fighting for. Which I'm just like,
He says he's still gonna fight for her, right? Yeah. Which I'm like, damn, man. I know you want to be on TV, but damn. And like he's getting some money out of this too, obviously. So.
Well, we find out eventually they've also started a dad talk, which I'm just like, all right. We finally make it to Miranda's happy hour. And Michaela clocks it very quickly that she's made a mom talk out of the cheese plate. Like it literally says mom talk. So she like eats them, I think. All the ladies show up.
Including Whitney.
Yes. And Michaela thinks Miranda and Whitney's friendship is fake. Which I agree. At least probably from Whitney's side. Miranda actually does seem kind of nice.
She does, yeah. I give her that.
So Jen says she doesn't know if she can trust any of the ladies since Vegas, since no one responded to a text she sent asking for people not to feed into the hate that her and Zach were getting.
Apparently.
And that's been like a theme. Jen feels like none of the ladies have been supportive of her.
Yeah.
So she's alone because she's separated from Zach and she's not getting the support she needs.
Right.
And all the ladies, once again, start talking. And they're sitting around kind of talking to Miranda about what's going on.
So like, why'd you bring us here kind of thing.
Right. And she's just like, look, to be fair, she handled it well. Like, she's just like, I just want to move past things.
Yeah.
And in the midst of all that, Whitney, kind of co-signs for Miranda. And we see also that Whitney is sitting on that couch with her shoes on that white couch. And I was like, decisions. These are the decisions we're making. I was like, the rest of the episode, I didn't understand anymore. Right. I was just like, shoes on couch. Like,
on white couch.
I don't get it.
Yeah.
You know this. It's a thing. I'm triggered.
Yeah, I know, baby.
But that is essentially the end of episode 1.
Yep. Everyone's got skeletons in their closets, pretty much.
And they're going to come out in the rest of the season.
That's right, yeah. So now we move on to episode 2.
The Book of Accountability.
There we go.
They're still at Miranda's happy hour.
Yep.
Miranda says what held her back from the group was wanting to work on her marriage. Because her and her ex were denying everything. So she couldn't very well be in the group and, while still denying everything.
Yeah. You believe her?
I do.
Okay. Yeah, I think so too.
And then after, like, as we get through our more episodes and we meet her ex-husband, I'm like, oh, she was in a tough situation.
Yeah.
And as her and Taylor talk more, I was like, yeesh. I mean, it's still like, it's still messed up.
Right.
Like you did it, but I get it.
Yeah.
So Taylor, then we start to find out more about what exactly transpired between Taylor and Chase, Miranda's ex-husband. And Taylor told Miranda, or Miranda's ex-husband, Chase, that she had a sex dream about him while they were at the gym. And then Chase told Taylor, that's when he told her he had feelings about her, for her. And she was like, no, thank you. And Miranda points it out, and she's like, well, in that moment, like, I lost my best friend. Which is fair. Like, what are you supposed to do when your husband tells your best friend he has feelings? Like,
yeah.
You know. And,
which is another reason that, you know, for her to separate from the group and all that. So.
And Taylor also calls herself a villain in their story. And honestly, the conversation was pretty rational. Like, nobody was calling anybody else out their name. Nobody was yelling.
Yeah.
It was very, like, it was giving someone seeing a therapist.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I do think Taylor needs more sessions because she's extremely hard on herself in a lot of this.
Yeah.
But it was just like, yeah, no, I was a villain in that story too. And it's true. You can be a villain in someone else's story.
Right.
So then we switch off and we get to Layla, Michaela, Jesse, and Demi going shopping for cowboy stuff. So they're at that cowboy shop.
Right.
And then once again, they're talking about Jack and Jen and Zach.
Yeah.
Maybe getting back together because this is a trial period separation.
Right. Which they are not good on, or they are not in agreement with.
And I do feel like they have Jen's name in their mouth a lot so far when she's not around.
That's true.
Like, I feel like we hear about her more than we actually see her and Zach on screen.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, in a weird way, you know what I mean?
Right. It's starting to become like talking behind her back kind of thing.
Yeah, like you can, but they're like, we don't like her. Like, they're starting to,
Yeah.
you know, which we're definitely going to get into when the Jesse, Demi, and Zach meet.
Sure.
So we're starting to see more of the men this season, the husbands.
Yeah.
And we see Dakota and the husbands fly fishing. And Dakota says that Taylor's parents have been there for him. They've invited him to dinner, which is like a dinner from hell we see later. And Zach talks about him and Jen not attending church anymore, being embarrassed, how some people have been nasty to them at church. It definitely feels like they're trying to like do that other side of the coin with dad talk now.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And like, I can't hate on it. It's an opportunity.
Right.
But I also don't care as much. Like, let me see the girls.
The show's not called Mormon Husbands.
The Secret Lives of Mormon Husbands' Wives. No, you know, like. So then we get into one of the most awkward meetings I've seen. I was shook by this.
Yeah.
So Jesse and Demi meet with Zach.
Yeah.
Zach has done a full 180, as I think Demi says. Mm-hmm. He's very apologetic. And he was like, well, you know, I would really appreciate though if you guys didn't lie on me.
Right. So then they go through the lies.
Yeah.
And apparently they think that he gambled his tuition away, which he says, no, not true at all. Mm-hmm. And they keep kind of throwing it back on Jen, like, that's what she told us. So
it was so, like, they did throw her under the bus.
Yeah.
And
But, like, if the truth is the truth, what do? Do you still throw her under the bus, or? Well,
that was the situation he was in, and he was trying to navigate. Yeah. Because if your wife told them this, I mean, and to be fair, that would be a huge red flag if you gambled away your money for medical school that your family gave you.
Yeah.
You know, so he can't be like, my wife's a liar, you know, and then go home while he's trying to make up with her.
Yeah.
So he has to be like, well, we're going to have a tough conversation.
Yeah. And if I remember correctly from season 1, I remember that episode where he said that he's going to go gambling. But I don't think where he has the money ever came into play. So I think Jen assumed that it was from this tuition money.
So I think that was a separate incident because the Vegas trip they went on, she was also giving him a certain amount of money to go gamble with.
That's right.
So I think this was but it was kind of rolled into that to make it look like oh no, this guy has a serious gambling problem because he already, gambled the money away for his tuition. So I think that's coming into play. And basically Jesse and Demi are doubling down, and they're like, well, now I'm confused and I don't know who to trust, because you're saying one thing and she's saying another. And
But Zach seems rational though.
I was very
cool.
surprised, and I think he has taken a lesson from what happened in the previous season.
Yeah.
Like, that can't be easy. I mean, it was, to be fair, it was awful watching him and Jen last season. It really was. But hitting the backlash for a year, I can only imagine.
Right.
And Zach says that Jen told them that they weren't for him. Jen told them the girls, you know what? I'm not sure what Jen told him that the girls said, because my note is a little weird. Oh, I know. Okay, I see. Jen told Zach that the girls weren't supporting her.
Right.
And says that, like, they won't answer, like, her text or whatever. And they were like, wait a minute.
Right. Not true. I texted her. She ghosted me. Blah, blah.
And I think that's also what made them mad.
Yeah.
So, and as things progress, we do see, like, Jen, it's like, girl, what are you doing? Because it does seem like the truth changes depending on who you're talking to.
Yeah.
And if someone has text receipts, don't
change it. Yeah. Don't do that.
So we put a pin in that and we move on to Taylor. Taylor goes to dinner at her parents', and they have invited Dakota, and her whole family is there.
I don't think Taylor knew, right? That he was coming?
I don't think she knew until he got there, actually. Yeah, I think you're right. And we find out just kind of before he gets there, like, Taylor's mom is still friends with Miranda and Chase because she was like a realtor. Yeah. Like, basically Taylor's mom is just going to be friends with everybody.
Yeah.
Which tracks.
Yeah.
And they sit down for this dinner. It was so terrible.
I think the brother started it off, right?
It was her dad.
Her dad?
Which honestly kind of makes it worse. The brother co-signed, but
yeah.
Her parents start going at them, and Taylor is starting to say, like, hey, oh wait, no, they start going at them, and her dad says, your relationship started on a foundation of shit.
Yeah.
And it was like, well, yeah.
And I was also like, damn.
I know, like, they didn't pull any punches.
No.
And they started to kind of hash it out. And she's like, Taylor is like, well, he did all these things. He did all these things. And Dakota's like, I had only seen you 3 times where this happened. And then her dad turns to her and says, if you had only hung out 3 times, what does it say about you? There is no way I would be sitting at a table full of my family and some dude who I don't care if we had seen each other for 3 hours and then he went to talk to another girl.
Yeah.
And my family would be like, well, that's on you.
Yeah.
Like, you may pull me aside.
They're dismissing the fact that he cheated on her.
Yeah.
Multiple times.
Or, like, hurt her feelings, like anything.
Yeah.
And then Taylor just like, yeah, I know I'm trash. And she meant it.
Yeah.
Like, that was painful.
Yeah. That was painful because, like, everyone was getting up on her except for her little sister.
Her brother was in, like, you need to give him more of a chance.
Right. Everyone was saying that.
It was awful. I think it was the brother's girlfriend who then goes to Taylor's mom and takes their baby.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which I was just like, thank you. Somebody take the baby.
Right.
The baby don't need this energy.
Right.
And then I think the dad started to realize when she started to have a meltdown that, oops, I probably shouldn't have said that. And he's like, well, that's not what I meant. And then for some reason, he just ends up kind of going inside.
Yeah, that's true. He does go away, doesn't he?
Yes.
Huh.
While the family continues to harp on her.
That's weird.
And then finally, her sister is like, okay, she's the only person that makes sense. And she's like, you guys need to be separated.
Yeah.
You need to work on yourselves alone and be separated.
Yeah.
She was just like, enough of this.
Yeah.
Because the baby can feel it.
Right.
Enough.
Yeah. You could tell that her sister had enough.
Yeah. And it was just
like,
that.
Stop getting up on her. You guys aren't making sense.
I hope when they rewatch that episode, they're like, oh, we probably shouldn't do that again.
Right.
And it made me not even understand Taylor more, but maybe that's it. Because I remember last season where I was just kind of like, what decisions are you making? Like, and she was just like, meh, whatever.
Right.
And now I'm like, I feel like she has to be that kind of just like, I can't care what anybody else is going to say because these folks, the family like this, who needs enemies? My goodness.
Right. Yeah, it's crazy. That was hard to watch.
It was.
I would have been like, fuck you, fuck all of you, and walked away.
Facts, same. Like,
I probably would have been in a fist fight.
How about left it at words? But
Like
I feel you.
if someone were yelling at you, like people were ganging up on you, right? I would absolutely step up and say fuck you, everybody. You know what I mean?
Same.
And if they came at me, I would absolutely lovely punch them in the face.
Like, I don't play that.
No.
You know, and like my thing is, even so, let's say, because I'm sure her sister has feelings about it,
Sure.
but I'm willing to bet her sister would take her aside and talk about it alone. That's what you do.
Yeah.
But you got to back your people.
Right.
You know, and
Yeah.
that was just, and I feel like Taylor constantly gets backed into corners without people supporting her.
Right. And the people that are supposed to support her.
Yes.
Right.
And I'm just like, damn, girl, like I'm starting to understand. Like, do you need a hug?
Yeah. For real.
So thankfully that ends. And it ends awkwardly because then it ends on a prayer. And I was like, I'm sorry.
You can't do that. You can't do that. You can't. No.
I mean, the Lord was needed because it was a mess. But like, it was very awkward because it was like, we're going to spew all this vitriol and then be like, wait, we didn't pray before the meal. Can we pray now?
Right. Yeah.
It's like,
It's
seriously,
like,
lady?
you are not a real religious person.
So then we move on to Jen's house, and Zach goes home, and he tells Jen about the conversation with Jesse and Demi.
Yeah.
And Jen is like, wait, what? And to be fair, at least from what we saw, Zach recounted it accurately.
Yeah, he did.
And he says, it was kind of everyone against you.
Yeah, that's true. It's like, everyone was against you? Said, no, it's against you.
It's like,
actually.
no, that's not what happened. And now, because of that, Jen wants to have a sit down between all four of them. Now, the interesting part is we find out a little later, Zach had met with Jesse and Demi like 4 days before the Halloween party that they throw. So all of this is happening very closely, like them having all these meetups. So then we find out that Jesse and Demi are planning for their husbands to get together to do a Chippendales performance at the Halloween party, which my mouth dropped. I was like, why are we doing this?
So they pay for a Chip and Dale to come out and teach the husbands how to
awkwardly dance.
Yes.
Yep. We also find out that Jessie being, I'm going to call her Messy Jessie. What she did is she invited Chase, Miranda's ex-husband, to the Halloween party. And we find out that apparently Chase has been spreading his seed around. He, has hooked up with Layla. They dated for a month, we find out. And we find out that they want Jen to get a lap dance from the Chippendale situation.
Yeah.
As like a way to like, I guess like test Zach, or like it's just very, very messy. But before, the Halloween party, now the foursome has to meet up and talk about what just happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Jesse, Demi, Jen, and Zach all meet up. So they meet up, and Zach says that Zach says that basically when Jen is with the girls, all she says is like bad things about them and their relationship. He's a narcissist, blah, 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 blah. And then the girls, Jesse and Demi, bring up the gambling thing to be like, because I think Jen tried to like deflect and be like, no, that's not what happens.
Yeah.
And then they were like, no, let's clarify the gambling thing specifically. And then that got really awkward.
Yeah. And Jen kind of like had to go back on what she said to the girls.
And it wouldn't be the first time.
Right.
So Jen clarifies that Zach didn't gamble away the money his family gave him for medical school. But then Zach was like, yeah, what I did was I did a bet behind her back, like a sports bet or something, which those are two very different things.
Yeah.
Which was, and then I feel like Jesse and Demi were like, right, so, but you lied. Jen doubles down with saying that the girls weren't there for her.
Right.
And then she tries to bring up Italy, this Vanderpump Rules thing.
Yeah, turn it back on them kind of thing.
And I think it's Demi specifically who she's trying to be like, well, you were messing around with your husband or something like that.
Back behind her husband. Yeah.
She says something like, Brett was crying to Demi in Italy, which is her husband. And Demi's Demi's not having it. She's like, what are we talking about?
Yeah, nothing happened.
So we kind of put a pin in that and get back to Jen's house. And we have a very awkward conversation. This is the day of the Halloween party. We have a very awkward conversation about Jen and Zach being related to Ben Affleck.
Right. Supposedly.
And him being like, well, I actually don't know.
Yeah.
And it was a family
They
joke.
kind of said it. Yeah, it's a family joke kind of thing. Yeah.
That she said on national TV.
Yeah. And
All
I
last
remember
season.
people asking Ben Affleck about that. And he's like, I have no idea who she is.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're not related.
Yeah.
And then she was like, but that's what your family told me. You're not going to make me look crazy because that's what your family told me. And it was just like, are we really having this scene right now?
Yeah. Yeah.
It was weird. Then we get to the Halloween party.
Zach was pretty much like, I'm going to let her deal with that
He did.
on her own, you know?
Zach knows better. He don't want that
I'm never
smoke.
going to claim it.
He don't want that smoke.
Yeah, no, I don't.
So we get to the Halloween party. And almost immediately upon Chase arriving, he approaches Dakota and ends up talking about Taylor.
Yeah.
And he's not just talking about her, he's pointing at her.
Yeah.
It's also weird because he's brought his girlfriend there
Right,
too, but
right.
he's there. His ex-wife is there. His girlfriend is there.
Yeah.
But he's very concerned with Taylor.
Mm-hmm.
Taylor approaches them because she can see him pointing at her and they're clearly talking about her.
He is a pointer. My God. No one taught him some respect.
That's my phone, sorry. I don't do pointing in faces.
No, it's rude.
It's
very rude.
I don't do that. Taylor approaches them and it gets loud real quick.
I see that you're talking about me, so what do you want to say?
And they're going back and forth about the sex stream at the gym. Dakota is not backing Taylor at all.
No.
And it gets so awkward. She's throwing F-bombs left and right. F you, you're
People
not
are all
supporting
on the
me.
sidelines like, what?
We see one black guy in the back who looks wildly uncomfortable. And I was just like, he is me and I am him. I felt so awkward. And then we start seeing flashing lights outside. And I'm like, wait a minute, are the cops already here?
Right. Yeah.
And then that ends episode 2.
Yeah. And there it is. Episode 1 and 2 of Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. Yeah, that was crazy. Because I remember in the last season, Taylor got arrested. And I was like, is this going to be a situation? Was that the first episode?
I think so, yeah.
But is this going to be a situation where Taylor gets arrested again because they were the ones in an argument and stuff like that? So I was curious about that. But yeah, we'll find out in episode 3 coming up.
Definitely not a boring season. It started off with a bang, and I feel like it's just going to continue on that way.
Yeah. The drama has continued and escalated. So yeah, stay tuned next week for Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, episodes 3 and 4. If you have any comments or questions down below, if you know something, maybe a different perspective of the show, or
give us some tea.
Yeah, if you were like, oh my God, I heard this and that from social media about Miranda. Not Miranda.
Well, it could be. She's on there.
Miranda?
Yeah, that's her.
Oh, it is her. I was thinking about Sex and the City.
Oh, different Miranda, but I'm proud of you.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate it. But yeah, let us know down in the comments. And until next time, I guess, right? There we go.
Until next time.